Dropping knowledge. Let's go. In this video, you will learn the techniques behind painting some of these characters' hands. There is a great deal of information in this tutorial, so take the time and review. Illustrating hands is one of the more difficult areas to master when creating characters. Hopefully this makes the process easier and gives you the basic tools you'll need to bring your characters to life. I first start explaining the hand with some sketches. Then I go into spray painting various hands. If you would like to skip right to the painting section, go to the 4-minute mark of the video. Check us out at VERS718.com. I'm going to try and keep this real simple. You want to break the hand into two sections. Top part where fingers are, bottom part where top hand or either your palms lie. General rule is that middle fingers, the length is close to the palm's length, or the top of the hand. Basically, the hand is equal in two parts. This next sketch, I just map in the fingers. Trick here is to divide the finger area into 3 sections. Now you might be wondering why not 4. For characters, I find 3 fingers and the thumb works best. It gives the finger more room to show gesture and movement. This has been made popular by the likes of Walt Disney, also helped for speeding up animation process. Take notice to the length of the top fingers. General rule for illustrating the hand is that the middle is the longest, with pointer being a little smaller, followed by the pinky. Now this isn't always the case in illustration, just a good guideline to follow. Also notice where the wrist meets the hand. There are the words wrist offset. When drawing the hand connecting to the wrist, have the hand go wider on the inside where the thumb area is. This is key when illustrating hands connecting to the wrist. It gives a more practical, realistic feel. Now look at the thumb area. I like to connect the thumb with a shape that's similar to a rectangle, but on a skew, basically on an angle. This next sketch is as if someone was standing in front of you with their palms up. Same illustration as the last, but shows the inside thumb and where its crease line is. Here is a side view of the hand. Good rule for illustrating the hand is have the palm area go from thick at wrist to narrowing towards the fingers. This image is a quick breakdown for the fingers, upright and side view. I usually make the first and second part of the finger similar in size, and the tip being a little smaller. I start with this shape for the base of the hand. This gives good form for placement of the fingers. Here is a side view of the hand before I start constructing the fingers. I indicate the thumb area and divide where fingers will go into 3 sections. This illustration, I start laying in circles for the fingers, as well as extension lines for each finger. Now I start mapping in the fingers. Picture as if it's a cylinder connecting into a smaller cylinder at each joint of the finger. Here are some variations of the hand. Take notice to the circle illustration. When illustrating heavy or thick hands, I like to start with a circle. It gives a nice, round, solid feel. Also take notice to the long fingers on the alien type of hand. This should give you a good foundation for sketching hands. I didn't want to overload you with too many details, just the basics to get you going. Here we're going to start with that basic shape that I explained earlier in the tutorial. Then I throw in some lines, extension lines. You'll notice I'll do that sweeping circular line. That gives me the knuckle indicator where I'm going to put the joints of the fingers. Just going in quickly, sketched it. Now I'm going to fill it in black. Real basic, just to get you a feel of what's going on. For this part, we're going to do that classic b-boy pose with the hand to the side, pointing. You'll see the finished illustration on the left, as well as a wireframe sketch, a rough sketch, as well as an up close of the actual b-boy. You'll see I throw in that blocky shape. I also put the fingers in, the pointer finger being longer and extended, with the middle finger and the pinky finger in the background, as well as the thumb curled out. You'll see those shapes that I explained about earlier in the tutorial. Now I'll just go back in with some black just to define the actual hand itself. I'm going to do a little coloring in, filling it in. You'll notice that I make the pointer finger a little more thicker and accentuated. This just gives it a cool b-boyish feel. Again, you don't have to follow all the rules I explained earlier. You got to give it just your own flavor. Here we're going to show you how Dracula gets down with his drink. You have the two fingers, pointer finger and the middle finger, wrapped around the glass, securing the glass, and the thumb coming from the other side, wrapping over. And of course the pinky sticking out. Got a drink in style. Take notice to the wireframe drawing on the red one on the bottom. I block in the square, then the circles for the fingers, as well as the circle for the wrist joint, and then the extension points for each finger. If you break it down, it's really simple. Take notice to the pen sketch. I thicken up the wireframe lines, just following the same flow. Here you'll see it's that rectangular shape. Two fingers wrapped over the glass with the thumb on top of the pointer finger. Best way to see how this is drawn is grab a glass, put your hand around it, and watch the motion of your fingers. Let's get paint. Here I lay in that rectangular shape. I map in the thumb. You'll see I'm just following all the same stuff we've been doing since the beginning of the video. I got that curved line for where the knuckles are gonna go. Just sketch in the actual glass itself. You notice it's all light at first. Go back in with that dark color and just tighten it all up. Treat the hand as individual pieces. In this next illustration, I'm going to show you how we have a hand holding a paint respirator. Picture this hand's position used for multiple purposes. We're holding a sword, hanging off of something. Take notice to the hand shape and how the fingers are bent over the palm of the hand to close that grip. Look at the illustration of the hand, the pen sketch, and you'll notice an arrow pointing up as well as down. That's the line of action. That gives the motion to the hand itself. In the wireframe diagram, I block in that shape with the circles for the fingers as well as the wrist joint. Just using those basic shapes that I taught you earlier in the tutorial and applying them to the different positions possible. All right, we're gonna get started with the painting here. You'll notice that first line, that's that action line I spoke about earlier with the arrows. That just gives you that motion of the hand, the way it's gonna be sweeping across. I blocked in that square shape as well as the fingers I'm putting in now. You'll see it's just those basic shapes that I keep telling you about. You apply them and it makes it that much easier. There goes that crease in the thumb that I mentioned earlier. When painting these pieces, start with a light sketch and then come back in with a darker outline. You'll see I'm just cutting it back up. Just pay attention to the creases in your hand, as I told you before, and you'll achieve these results. In this next clip, I'm going to show you how we do the b-boy pointing. You're going to see the front of the hand with the finger pointing and the other remaining fingers closed. Take notice to the sketches. You have the wireframe at the bottom, then you'll have the rough sketch above it. Take notice to the angular sweeping lines. That's going to indicate where the knuckle and the fingers close. Here you see I lay in that rectangular shape, put in the circles for the fingers. That's going to indicate where they lay. That sweeping line, that's going to indicate the knuckles as in the illustration. Now I just go in and I'm going to overlay with that dark color to finalize it. Keep it simple, don't overcomplicate it. Show you how to illustrate his hand holding the cigar. The top right sketch in red, you'll see that circular shape. The bottom right is the pen sketch, more detailed, where I block in the shapes of the hand. The trick here is just to keep the fingers thick. Okay, first we're going to paint in that circular shape for the body of the hand. Then we're going to sketch in both the pointer and the middle finger. Notice how they have them going in the same direction, same flow. Just use those curvature lines to give that movement to the finger. Notice how I have the pinky sticking up in the air. Just gives the hand a little character, as if he's really holding the cigar, gripping it with his pointer and middle finger. Take notice to the thumb where I make it thick at the joint where it connects to the hand and smaller at the tip. Now I'm just going to go in and thicken up the black to sharpen it, to make it more noticeable. You'll see me adding some shadows, some highlights. Just picture as if the light source is above and you have the bright coming from down up top. Just break it down into each piece. Just treat the hand as individual pieces and you'll be able to pull this off every time. If you're not sure how the hand's supposed to look or how the fingers are supposed to be situated, I can't say this enough. Always use reference. Look at other pictures of hands. Don't try and draw it from your imagination. In this next clip, it's a little more complicated, but once I break it down, it should be easy to understand. With the palm facing up, the fingers going out, then up, then back across. If you look at the wireframe diagram, the red drawing, you'll see the palm facing up. And I indicate the circles where the fingers are going to be, and then the wireframe of the fingers going out, up, and then back. Once you break it down like that, it's pretty simple. The one thing I do want you to notice is the thumb area, that crease line. I showed you earlier with the sketches at the beginning of the video. That's key in giving the thumbs depth. In this next part, I first sketch in the rectangular shape, then I map in the thumb, and then after that you'll notice I put in the circular lines where the fingers are going to go. From there I wireframe out the direction, as in the sketch that I showed you earlier. From there I just thicken the fingers in, picture them as cylinders that are on top of those wireframe lines, as I mentioned earlier in the video. If you're not sure about the way you're painting it, or if you feel it doesn't look right, just fold your hand into the position you're trying to achieve. Use your hands as reference and pay attention to the crease lines and the way the fingers form. Just want to give it your own flavor, your own style. From here I just go in and darken the lines up, get a feel for where it's going to go. Well, that sums this one up. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was a good primer in getting you to understand the basic shapes of the hand and the different ways to approach it. Remember, always use reference. If you liked the video, click subscribe. Also check us out at VERS718.com. New t-shirts, stickers, pins, laser engraved cans. Go give us a look. VERS718.com.